everyone, welcome to this video. On my channel, I analyze song lyrics very in-depth through the lens of literary analysis. Today, however, instead of analyzing a full song, I'm going to be analyzing lyrics you submitted about the season of summer. I asked you guys your favorite lyrics about summertime on the community tab on this page and also on my Instagram at Summer Sentiment. Feel free to follow me. If I'm not familiar with the lyrics you submitted, I'm not going to look them up. I'm just going to analyze them without any context. I did something similar to this a little while ago. I call it lyric roulette. So I will link that lyric roulette video down below. The first lyric is from the song Summer Child by Conan Gray. It says, "Oh, summer child, you don't have to act like all you feel is mild. You don't really love the sun. It drives you wild. You're lying. Summer child." I actually have not heard this song before, but these lyrics are very beautiful and feel very like delicate and ethereal, so I really do want to go listen to the song after I'm done filming. So there's two people in these lyrics. There's the person addressing the summer child. I'm gonna call them like the narrator, and then I'm gonna call the summer child Summer Child. I feel like the narrator has either like a maternal or paternal feeling towards the summer child, and I say that for two main reasons. The first one just being the tone. The way they're addressing the summer child feels very delicate and very thoughtful, perhaps like they're protective over the summer child, and also just the literal word child suggests that as well. This summer child could literally be a younger person, or perhaps they're going through an issue that is associated with youth. Maybe they are coming of age, maybe they're just going through like an emotional transition, growing pains. It's interesting to me that the person being addressed here is literally called Summer Child because it makes me think that their identity for some reason is associated with the season of summer. More literally, they could have been born during the summertime, or maybe their energy, like their vibe, their soul really aligns with elements that we associate with the summertime, like symbolically, or maybe they're just going through like the summer of their life. We can think about life as having seasons. They kind of repeat over and over again. For example, if you're like in the winter of your life, maybe you're emotionally hibernating. If someone's going through the summer of their life, I think they're going through growing pains, maybe. At least in the context of this song, that's how I would think about it. Because of the word child, I'm thinking about youth and adolescence. Kids literally grow up a lot during the summer, like they get taller, but also emotional maturity can happen. People can come back to school with a new aesthetic. For me, that's what I'm thinking about within this song. Growing pains, coming of age, perhaps someone going through the summer of their life. You don't have to act like all you feel is mild. So this summer child seems to be denying their emotions. Perhaps they're putting on a show. They're telling everyone that they're doing okay. That's what the word mild indicates to me. When you feel mild, you're like in the middle. You're not super happy, but you're not super sad. You're just kind of like neutral. So this summer child is not actually feeling neutral. It says, you don't really love the sun. It drives you wild. So I think there's like an emotional crisis for the summer child, but I also think there's an identity crisis for them because they are, for some reason, identified by other people, by like the narrator in this song, for instance, as having an identity associated with the summertime, but they themselves don't associate themselves with the summertime. So it's kind of like people expecting you to act a certain way or to be a certain way, but in reality, like your soul is not that person. The summer child may be a fall child. They may not even identify themselves with seasons. Maybe they identify themselves with like animals or with like constellations. I don't know. If we look closely at the diction, the word act is used. So the protagonist is putting forth a false narrative about who they are, which is kind of sad. The sun symbolically is positive, right? Sun emits light. Light imagery is very positive because the light illuminates truths for you. It can be very cleansing. It can suggest new beginnings, etc. However, this summer child doesn't love the sun. I don't view that as inherently negative. But it's interesting because they don't like something that is usually symbolically very, very positive. I wouldn't necessarily extrapolate this out in a way to suggest that the summer child is, bad or associated with like the darkness. For me, what I think is going on here based on no context is expectations versus reality, but in an existential way. I don't get the sense that like sunlight in this context is used to depict like morality or the goodness of a person. I think perhaps it's meant to symbolize the expectations placed on this summer child by the people that they're around or by like the society that they live in. So this is an instance where like light versus dark imagery wouldn't really fit in with the way I would interpret it. If you want to think about sunlight for a moment and the sun rays, we can think about this summer child maybe as like the golden child. They try to be perfect. Everyone expects perfection out of them. You know, the golden rays of sunlight, the golden child. It's kind of like when Austin Ames from A Cinderella Story didn't want to go to USC to play football. They wanted to go to Princeton. It's kind of like that a little bit. Listen, all of my references are Hilary Duff movies and early 2000s rom-coms. If you don't know what I'm referencing, it's not my fault. Go do your homework. Start with a Lizzie McGuire movie and then work your way up. That's perhaps why it drives them wild, that they don't like the sunlight or they don't associate themselves with the sunlight, because it's something that other people expect them to do. To me, these lyrics are suggestive of someone who is being pushed to fit into a mold that they just can't fit into. You know, a lot of people can act really well in their life. They can do what's expected of them while suffering internally. But then some other people maybe just can't hide it as well. They're still going through the motions of what society or what their family expects of them. For some people, I think you can tell when their heart's not in it and their soul's not in it. And even though they're doing things that's expected of them, you can tell that like their light is dimming, right? You can tell that their soul is being crushed. I really believe in life that you can't force things for too long. I think that your soul must be heard. And either you can listen to it at the beginning when it's telling you, okay, like don't study that in college, you're gonna hate that, or don't date this person, they're not good for you, or you can ignore it. You can trust other people who don't really know your internal world the way that you do. And then years down the line, your soul is gonna try to speak to you again, but your soul is gonna be like damaged at that point, right? So the way in which your soul will communicate with you at that time is going to be different. It's going to be a lot more painful. It's just going to be messier. But that's what I think about when I read these lyrics. I don't think about light versus dark imagery just kind of meaning good versus evil in this context. I don't see that as a principle here. Maybe the people surrounding the summer child think about things in that way. Maybe they view the path the summer child is on as positive and anything else is negative. But for me as like an outsider, I don't view the fact that the protagonist doesn't like the sun as negative. I just view them as not really wanting to be the golden child the way that's expected of them. I think that they feel really guilty. It's driving them wild, but I think it's healthy to listen to yourself. If something internally is driving you wild and telling you that you're not a summer person, like it's okay. I think life just becomes much more easier and things will flow much more easily for you when you do not deny the season that you are metaphorically drawn to. The last line is very direct and kind of intense. It says, "You're lying, summer child." It could be seen as kind of accusatory, like the tone of the last line is kind of like a juxtaposition to me when you compare it to the first line, because the first line's kind of nurturing, "Oh, summer child," at least in my opinion. And I don't know who the narrator is, obviously, but for me, I would like to think about someone sitting down and talking with a summer child and being like, hey, you're not that great of an actor in your life. You're not gonna get an Oscar. You're lying to us and to yourself. The jig is up. We know that you don't want to be president of the debate team, for example. So without any context, I'm getting identity crisis vibes, existential crisis vibes, emotional crisis vibes, and I'm thinking about like a golden child and the expectations of maybe family or society versus your true self. I view the season of summer here as representing an ideal that is set by the society that the summer child is in, and I associate like the golden rays of sunlight with being like the golden kid and just doing what's expected. Let's move on. I'm sick of the sun, it burns everyone. I did Google this just to see like what song it is. It's from the song Sick of the Sun by Poppy. I have not heard this song and I didn't read any of the lyrics, so I'm going in without any context here. This is interesting again because it's kind of subverting the positive symbolism associated with the sun. Sunlight, again, is usually very positive, but it can be harmful. right? You're not supposed to look at the sun directly. That's harmful. But here, the sunlight is burning people. It's interesting, the diction use, it says it burns everyone. Seems to me that this protagonist has witnessed a lot of people go through pain. That's what the word everyone is indicating to me. So again, without any context, perhaps the sun here is meant to refer to things that are seen as positive by society, but are actually harmful to people. I'm personally thinking about like toxic positivity as an example of that, being really positive and just no negativity, no negative thoughts. That can be seen at first glance as a very positive thing. You can associate light imagery with that at first glance, but literally toxic positivity, in my opinion, is very harmful, and it's really terrifying the way that some people weaponize toxic positivity. I think it's really dangerous. So that's like a concrete example that I'm thinking about. I think another way to think about it is that not everything is 100% positive, right? Everything has to exist in balance. When we literally think about sunlight, it's necessary. Sunlight helps your body convert specific precursors in your body to vitamin D. That's very helpful, right? Sunlight helps plants grow. That's very helpful. However, if you do stand in the sun for too long, you do get a sunburn. Too much of anything can be detrimental, and that's another way that I'm thinking about these lyrics. I interrupt this video with a very special message from myself. This is sponsored by me. I want to let you guys know that I'm offering services on the website Fiverr. I'm offering a few different things. I can help you refine your own analysis skills to develop your own unique perspective about poetry, about song lyrics, about any written work. I've also been getting a lot of messages from you guys letting me know that you use my videos to help you learn English. So if you need an English conversation partner, I'm your girl. We can converse through the internet. I can help you with pronunciation, sentence structure, and random things about American culture that are not super intuitive. If you're a songwriter or a poet and want me to read your original piece of work and provide you with a very detail-oriented feedback, I can do that as well. All that information is going to be linked down below. If you have any questions about any of the services I'm offering, please message me directly through the website Fiverr. Back to the video that you actually clicked here for. Summer, sizzling, listening to jazz out on the lawn. This is from the song White Dress by Lana Del Rey. Hashtag fun fact, I actually filmed an entire analysis of that song when the music video dropped. I just never posted it because I did not like how it turned out. If you want me to refilm it, let me know. So Lana Del Rey talks about summertime a lot in her songs, and I think that they symbolize different things in different songs. Here it says summer, sizzling. That's an alliteration. That's when we have the same letter or the same sound repeated after one another. The word sizzling is referring to a sound. To me, it's just interesting that we have an alliteration here. The s sound is very much repeated. I love alliterations a lot. I find them quite pleasant. I can't help but mention that this reminds me of Summertime Sadness, the lyric sizzling like a snare. If you're interested in that lyric, please go watch my analysis because that lyric made me view the setting in that song as very, very sinister. Summertime Sadness is such an interesting song. So sizzling means very hot. It can refer to something very exciting or passionate. I kind of view sizzling here in both of the ways that it's defined as referring to the temperatures. Summertime gets hot, but I also do kind of view it as referring to like an emotional sort of hotness as passion. I say this all the time. I view passion as a very beautiful thing. I think it's necessary in your life, but it has to be balanced. When passion becomes unbalanced, it becomes very dangerous, as evidenced in Summertime Sadness, and it can lead to very risky behavior, to poor decision making, and to just like not chill vibes. So here, the summer heat could cause the sizzling air, or we can perhaps think about summer as being personified here. We can think about the season itself as being sizzling, as being filled with passion. When something is personified, it kind of has a mind of its own. We talked a lot about personification of the setting when I analyzed Louvre by Lorde. Summer slipped us underneath her tongue. I will link that analysis down below. I personally do view like the season as part of the setting. You don't have to, but I do. Perhaps the setting here, the summertime, is sizzling. It's filled with passion and it has a mind of its own. So it's gonna go and cause some trouble, right? The passion of this summer, this person, Summer, not me, but like the person in the song, the passion is a little unbalanced. They're gonna go and get into trouble. The heat is gonna be too much for some people and they're just gonna make some decisions that are not so great. That's another way that you can view it if you want. The word sizzling could be a foreshadow to something. It could be ominous, or it could just be like kind of hot and flirty. It could go either way. While I do know this song, I haven't heard it recently. I don't remember the specific diction throughout this song. So take what I say with a grain of salt. I will probably revisit this if I refilm it and maybe change my interpretation a little bit, but that's what I'm thinking about. Then it says listening to jazz out on the lawn. That's a juxtaposition to me. So when I think about jazz music, I think about chill vibes. I think about just like this, you know, I think about saxophone, just like chilling. Jazz can be very passionate, but it is a more balanced sort of passion in my opinion. It's like a very like safe sort of passion, which is still great, but I see that as a juxtaposition to the type of passion that the word sizzling is suggesting in the line previous. So that's interesting. They're also listening to jazz outside on the lawn. That activity just gives me chill vibes. So the people here are engaging in activities that are chill, or perhaps the personified summertime is going to come and stir up trouble. The last lyric that we're going to analyze is from the song Forever Winter, Taylor's version by Taylor Swift. I have heard the song before. Too young to know it gets better. I'll be summer sun for you forever. Forever winter if you go. So here we have the mention of two seasons, summer and winter. From my perspective, summertime in this context is positive vibes only, and winter here is negative. This song, I think, is about depression and perhaps thoughts about self-harm. I might analyze this song. It's been requested a few times, so I'll probably eventually do like a full video on it. But just looking at these lyrics specifically, it refers to someone who is going through a hard time, who's a lot younger. When you're younger, I don't want to say you're like dramatic, because you're not. Like, your feelings are always valid, but when you get a little bit older, you kind of go through cycles of things happening to you, and you realize that nothing ever stays the same. If you're going through a hard time, it's going to be temporary. Even if it's like a long period of time, like years, like it's going to get better. That's something that comes with age and experience. The protagonist is saying they'll be their summer sun. So what I love here is the phrase summer sun. It's kind of like repetition of a specific connotation. Bear with me for a moment. The word summer in this context is bringing forth light imagery. That's how I'm interpreting it. Since we have the mention of winter later, I'm going to visualize light versus dark imagery, because winter is darker. So for me, I'm visualizing light with the word summer, and then I'm visualizing even more light with the word sun. We had something similar to this in the song Boston by Augustana. I will link my analysis down below for you. That lyric was like, in the light of the sun, and I was like, OMG, there's like light imagery in bold here with an exclamation point. That's how I feel about this lyric as well. It's kind of just like doubling down on the positive imagery here to try to combat the negative emotions that this other person is feeling. It's also stated in a very cute way. I'll be summer sun for you forever. Stated in a very childlike way, which is very endearing. So the person here, the protagonist, is saying that they'll be their summer sun. So they're going to be light imagery for this person, but it's going to be light imagery in the summer, where it's the hottest and the brightest, right? Very sweet, very cute. Forever winter if you go. So winter here is negative. I think about isolation. I think about dark imagery that can be correlated to dark emotions that people feel. Winter doesn't always have to be negative. I do want to say that. Sometimes if you're in the winter of your life, maybe you're just kind of like staying at home metaphorically and working on yourself. But in this context, I do view it as very negative and very sad. When it says if you go, it could be referring to self-harm. The word forever kind of supports that. I think the protagonist is saying it'll be forever winter for them because they would lose a friend, but also forever winter for the world because the whole world would be losing and missing out on them. This song is very cute, but it's very sad and very heavy. That's how I would interpret those lyrics. So those are the songs that you guys submitted. Please let me know if you have any other lyrics about anything you want me to react to without context. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!